What's up, gamers? Let me reduce this desktop audio just a tad, I think. Okay. What's up, gamer? It's time to do more psychology. I haven't studied in a while because I'm a dickhead. Because I'm a retard. That's right. Okay. So, Baron-Cohen et al. That's the idea, right? We got Baron-Cohen et al. Cohen. And there's a hyphen as well. We're all fancy up in here. Baron-Cohen et al., aka the eyes test, or as my brilliant as my brilliant classmate called it when we were learning about it, the autism test. Baron-Cohen et al., the autism test. We'll add that in there. Anyhow, so we'll just go over it quickly, get a lay of the land. So we're investigating the theory of mind, social sensitivity involving autism, and in brief, we'll look over this first actually. So we're going to see the aims. There's 3 aims. We're going to look at the research methodology, experiments, correlations, design and variables. We're going to look at the sample. We got a table for that. Look at the procedure. We got a table for that as well, involving the problems with the original test and solutions in the new test. Then we'll look at the eye test development. Then we'll look at the results. Lots of bullet points there. Then the conclusions. And then we'll look at the evaluation. We got ethical issues, methodological issues regarding reliability, strength, validity, lack of random allocation, a weakness, theory of mind, a weakness, objectivity, subjectivity, the use of quantitative data as a strength, generalizations and ecological validity, generalizing beyond the sample is a weakness, generalizing to everyday life is a weakness, and issues and debates, individual situational explanations, applications to everyday life, other clinical groups, and education. So, seeing all that, we have a rough idea. So let's read the brief, the abstract kind of. So Baron-Cohen et al. Wanted to test a revised version of their original eyes test. Let me adjust my mic sounds, how loud it is. Maybe this is better for your, I don't know. Yeah, probably. Okay. So, wanted to test a revised version of their original eyes test to see whether it was a more sensitive measure of adult social intelligence for those with IQ scores within the normal range. They improved on weaknesses of the original test in the hope of reducing the ceiling effect and ensuring that items could not be as easily guessed. Baron-Cohen et al. Wanted to see whether adults with HFA/AS still scored lower than neurotypical adults on the revised eyes test, and whether females scored higher than males. They also wanted to see if there was a negative correlation between the revised eyes test scores and the autism spectrum quotient, aka the AQ, another test which measures traits of autism. All of these predicted results were found, although the difference in scores on the revised eyes test between males and females was not statistically significant. Nice. Okay. So, let's go over it. Aims. I think this might be a pretty fast one, actually. How do I do this normally? This? God, it's been a while. Test. Okay, we'll read it first. Test adults with high-functioning autism / Asperger's syndrome on the revised eyes test to see if the deficits on the original test were still seen. Test adults with HFA. That's FHA. This is also HFA using the revised eyes test. See if similar score deficits seen. Second aim, to see if there is a negative correlation between the autism spectrum quotient, a different test that measures autism, and eyes test scores. Because basically, you don't know what the eyes test is yet, or if you're revising using this video, or, I mean, nobody watches these videos, but if you are revising using this video, then hi. My name's Dylan, nice to meet you. So, the eyes test, if you don't already know, and it will be explained later, but it's basically just a test where they show you pictures of different eyes, just like a rectangular shot of two eyes of a person's face, real pictures, obviously, and then give you four different words, four different emotions to then attribute to that, or that you get to choose between to attribute to the eyes. Wait, maybe it was the other way around. It might have been four eyes. Four pairs of eyes, and then one attribute, or like one, emotion to attribute to the eyes. I think it was that. I am not sure. Anyways, basically the idea is that if you score high on the test, on the eyes test, then it means you have a strong emotional intelligence and you can, you have a strong theory of mind or whatever. Actually, let's go up here and just quickly understand what theory of mind is. Theory of mind refers to the ability to determine the mental state of another person or ourselves, otherwise known as mentalizing. It refers to a person's ability to put oneself in the position of someone else. We use this knowledge to explain and predict the behavior of other people. Deficits can occur in those with autism spectrum disorder. There you go. So, the eyes test is supposed to measure your theory of mind, and obviously a higher score equals better theory of mind. And that's why they're trying to see if there's a negative correlation between the AQ test scores and the eyes test scores, because obviously AQ test scores, if you're autistic, should be high, and if you're autistic, your eyes test scores should be low, therefore negative correlation. See if neg core between AQ and eyes test. We'll write AQ test just for just so that it's easier to understand here. AQ test. And the third and final one is the female versus males. See. Wow, my typing is really bad. So I see if females, the mates. Wow. Then. Whew, I'm garbage. Okay. Research methodology. So those are all the aims. I'm going to research your methodology. Experiments and correlations. Scores of different groups / genders of participants were compared, and the researchers also wanted to see if there was a correlation between AQ test, eyes test scores. This is actually useless. We don't really have to think about this. It's kind of whatever. Design and variables. Two main independent variables. So, IV1, group, IV2, IV stands for independent variable, obviously, and sex is the other one. Yeah, so both of these were independent measures. Designs. Yeah. Measures. Dependent variables were the eyes test and AQ scores. Covariables for the main correlation. So if you're not familiar, we, instead of saying independent variable and dependent variable for a correlational study, or the correlational part of a study, we call them covariables. Because they're not really depending on each other or independent from one another. They both are being compared, right? In the same way, compared to independent and dependent variables. Okay. So look at the sample. I wrote this here because I wanted to write the different groups, so now we can do that. So HFA, Gen Pop. It literally says general population. Gen Pop / control students and IQ matched. Okay, so what do all of these mean? The HFA group was 15 male adults with high functioning autism, mean IQ of 115. They're doing pretty good in the IQ department, not gonna lie. A volunteer sample from adverts in UK National Autism. Sorry, had to yawn. Or support groups, all diagnosed using established criteria, socioeconomic group matched to group 2. From adult community and education classes in Exeter. Okay, whatever. Broad range of occupations and education levels, and I have a high IQ doing. Okay. I'm not sure. Okay, cool. Let's get this all down. So, sample. Shift the HFA group. 15 male. 29.7 years old. So we'll just say mean. And then also mean IQ was equal to 115. And also volunteer sample. Let me cut this down here. Oh, that's why it looks so weird. Okay, that's fixed. Okay, the HFA group, we'll just do 1 HFA group. 2, the Gen Pop group. The Gen Pop control group. 122 adults. Mean 46.5 years old. Of occupations / edu levels. And we have 3 students. 103 50-50 gender split. Mean 20.8 years old and assumed higher IQ due to edu level. Cut this bad boy down as well. We never write level the correct way. You gotta write it LVL. Come on now. And the final one for IQ match controls. Yeah, the IQ matched controls. Well, I guess we'll put S's on these for some reason. 14. From Gen Pop. Mean 28 years old. Random select from Gen Pop, mean 20 years old. Match to Mathsd. Match to group 1 on IQ and age. Cool. There you go. Now, procedure. Okay. Problems. / fixes, right? So, only 2 possible answers per item. Only 2 possible answers per item. Therefore, increased from so yeah, luck is a bottom. Yeah, we'll just write chance involved. Therefore, increased from 25 to 37 items, 36 items. Increased number of response, yeah. 4 answers per item. Parents of children with autism scored similarly to people with HFA, even though they did not have the condition themselves. There were many possible scores above chance level, leading to a ceiling effect. The test was not very sensitive to individual differences. Some items were too easy as they were basic mental states, happy, sad, and angry. Too simple mental states. Two simple item mental states. EX, sad, happy. Sad and happy. The new version contained only complex mental states, requiring the attribution of a belief to a person. Only complex mental states as 4 items. Attribution of belief. A belief, sorry. Wow, and I can't spell for my life. Okay. Some items could be guessed from eye direction. Some items guessable via eye direction. Yes. Noticing. Omitted items. Should be items omitted, but I'm too lazy. There were more female than male faces. More female versus male faces. Equal face gender split. Target word and the foil were always semantic opposites, which was too easy. Answer versus foil were always antonyms. Too easy. Motherfuckers were retarded. Who made this fucking test, bruh? New version 3 foils were similar. 3 foils were always similar. I did this test, by the way. It was really fun. And I scored highest in the class. I'm the least autistic. Fucking retards. Sorry. What's it mean? It was unclear whether some people could understand all the words. Stood. Therefore, glossary added. Okay, participants in all 4 rooms took the revised ICE test in a quiet room alone. Sorry, all 4 groups. All 4 groups took ICE test. Each participant alone in a quiet room. A revised ICE test in a quiet room. The tester had them select. Okay. Select one of 4 words matching a set of eyes. 1 answer versus 3 foils. Participants with HFA were also asked to determine the gender of the eyes as a control task. Asked to determine gender of eyes as well. Other groups did not need to do this as neurotypical adults, scores have a ceiling effect. I don't know what a ceiling effect is. Does it discuss it up here? Should we look up here? Should we be a good child? Where did it doesn't say ceiling effect anywhere. $186. $186. Man, I'm not gonna go there. That's hella boring. That's too far away, bro. Unlucky. Well. Participants are also asked if they're unsure of any of the words in the glossary and to read the meaning of these. Glossary. If unsure. 2 authors created the target words and foils for each item. Target words versus foils presented to a group of 8 judges. Judges picked which word the... Oh, wait, sorry. Set of eyes. 5 out of 8 needed to agree. Without more than 2 choosing the same foil. Furthermore, the data for groups 2 and 3 are combined. Data for groups 2 and 3 combined. For the 225 responses, at least 50% needed to select the target word, and no more than 25% could select the same foil. 4 out of 40 items failed to meet these criteria, leaving 36 items on the revised test. At least 50% needed to select the target word. No more than 25% needed to select the same oil. If not, item removed, left with the final 36 item revised test. Okay, results, baby. Cool. It's speedier than usual, I feel like, kind of. Sorry, I'm just moving my a little bit closer. Okay, so results. Group 1 performed significantly worse on the eyes test than the other groups. Makes sense. Group 1 performed significantly worse than other groups. Females scored higher than males. Females higher than males, but statistically insignificant. Group 1 scored significantly worse than Groups 3 and 4 on the AQ. Group 2 did not take the AQ test. Okay. I guess two then I don't like the way they wrote this because AQ test, the higher you score, the more likely you are to be autistic. But they're writing here, Group 1 scored worse, meaning they scored higher. But then here, instead of scoring worse, they write score higher on the AQ. Like, let's just look at this real quick. I want to make sure. Let's just say I agree with all of them. Yeah, okay, so higher is worse. It's 24 out of a possible 50. Yeah, so 50 is worse. I mean, well, sorry, not worse, but more autistic, right? So that's what they mean. So for the purpose of this, we'll write higher because that's what it is. We shouldn't say worse because then it's like they're like the people who score more autistic are worse than us, you know. Come on now. Autism is kind of chill, not gonna lie. Sorry. Okay. 3 and 4, males scored higher. Males scored higher. IQ. Females. No correlation between eyes test score and IQ. Eyes test no or with IQ. Eyes test neg or with, what is it again? AQ score. In the student group, the eyes test score is negatively correlated with the social skills category and communication category of the AQ. I think that's whatever. Adults with HFA scored 36 on the gender recognition test. Okay. If you're at 36 or more on gender recognition test. Okay. Conclusions. This is about to be a speedy one, I think. How long have we been recording for? 30 minutes. Okay, I'll probably finish in like 45 minutes then. Let's go. Speed it up, speed it up. The revised eyes test was successful in being a more sensitive test for adult social intelligence than the original test. Successfully better / more sensitive than OG test. Neurotypical adults scored significantly below the ceiling, allowing the test to be a more subtle measure of individual differences. Adults with age were impaired on the test, but they could still identify the gender of eyes. Significant uncontrolled test. Not to say normal, but it's literally the meaning of normal. So, normal adults. Okay, let's see the ceiling effect. Ceiling effect. Not what ceiling egg crate, bro? What are you on about? There's been a large number of participants in a study score the highest possible score on a test or measurement instrument, leading to lack of variability in the data, making it It's too easy for the drug research. So, okay. So basically, it was too easy. Or below the ceiling. HFA. Dudes. HFA. Impaired scores. But still identified gender. Is some of them, the guys, like the guy pair of eyes, like it's a guy, but it looks like a fucking girl. Like it was like these femboy ass like pairs of eyes. So I'm not surprised they didn't score perfect, bro. Like I wouldn't have scored perfect. I mean, I might have, but it would have been real close. Like trying to score on what genders everybody was fucking hard. This value has a useful way to detect subtle impairments in social intelligence for those with normal IQs and can be used to distinguish adults with HFA/AS from controls. Nice. Validates the test. We'll just say validates test is fine. As the AQ and I test scores were negatively correlated, so it's both being used to measure the severity of autistic traits. Neg core suggests both tests can be used to measure severity of, just autism. Autistic traits. Okay. Now we go to evaluation. There's not that much, thankfully. It's kind of a less than a lot amount. Eval. Ethics. Weakness. Psych. Harm caused. Oh, that's right. Maybe caused. Your HFA. Caused to the HFA group. When completing the test, they may not have been able to understand the emotions shown by many of this. That's why it might cause them distress or embarrassment. Lack of understanding of answers, emotions, may have caused distress or embarrassment. Left study with low self-esteem. Whatever you say, brother. Whatever you say. Sorry. I'm retarded. What? Okay. Math. Strength. Standardization. Supposed to be a Z, but I'm actually way too tired. Standardization. Sorry, this should be like this. Reliable. High level or standardization. Standardized procedure. Same images. Same answers. Slash foils. Glossary. Can be replicated easily for here for review of reliability. Oh, whatever, man. Holy moly, I'm so tired. Fucking A. Okay, that's the end of that one. So, weakness, validity, lack of random allocation. Of random allocation. Naturally occurring IV means no random allocation to groups. What the hell is happening? Let's do just a few enters here. Move us back up to the middle. Oh my god, why do I feel so tired? I'm like crashing after like my caffeine or the fuck. Jesus, okay. Okay. Naturally occurring IV means no random allocation to groups. Due to this, there may have been some participant variables between the groups, and some participants were in different ways, from different parts of the UK, maybe had some features from better words. Possible similarities in groups, diff across groups, causing performances to differ. P variables. Participant variables is what that means, if you're wondering. I just write P because participant is too annoying to write. Reduces validity of findings. Is that what it is? Of results. Ifs maybe not due to maybe. Okay. And the last one, another weakness. Theory of mind. Validity, theory of mind. I should probably do this. It's a bit hard to read otherwise. Theory of mind. A weakness of the study is that it may not have been measuring theory of mind as it claimed to. May not have been measuring theory of mind. I'm just going to write Tom for it. At best, the study only aimed to measure the first stage of theory of mind, that is, determining the mental state of a person. Theory of mind also involves the second stage of attributing the content of a mental state to a person, that is, understanding the reason behind their emotion, which the eye test cannot measure, therefore. Measuring theory of mind. Just first stage of determining mental state, but also attributing a reason for said mental state. Alter, latter not investigated the study. OBJ and WJ. Objectivity and subjectivity. Objective quant data. Oh, sorry, I should write strength first. Strength. Objective quant data, aka quantitative data, numbers and all that shit. Strength of the study was that the data was objective. Objective quant data is good. No researcher interpretation needed. Right or wrong, fixed draft, freedom of answering, quantitative, there's no room for researcher bias. No researcher bias. Increased study validity. Generalizations to, what to say, generalizations. Weakness. Hard to gen beyond sample. Small HFA group, 15 adults. self-selected. Motivated. Doesn't represent most other autists. Okay. Another weakness. Gen 2. Everyday life. Questions were static images. Black and white. Not normal, brother. Doesn't reflect real life. For emotional processing. Facial movements, non-verbal and verbal comms important. Reduced mundane realism and eco-val. Issues and debates. Where are we at now? 48 minutes. Okay, so it's gonna be around 55 minutes probably when we're done. Okay. Issues and debates. Individual versus situational. Adults with high-functioning autism scored lower on the ICE test compared to neurotypical adults, supporting an individual explanation for the cognitive processing of emotions. Okay, yeah. Chauffeur compared scores versus normal. Normal suggests individual affecting scores. Cognitive processes. Then, however, it could be argued that people with AMI better recognize emotions and mental states of others in some situations compared to others. For example, they might find this harder with some emotions than others. Find it easier in a situation where there are fewer distractions when they are allowed to slow. Situational factor than type of emotion. In HFA, improving process. App to everyday life. Other clinical groups. The ICE test may be used with other clinical groups, such as those brain damage, to determine whether they have social deafness and social status. Used to test goes with brain damage. Education. For lower than this is going to be used by teachers. Used by teachers to determine students' social intelligence. Low score indicated that last year amount of extra lessons extra lessons accordingly. Okay, we're done. Let's go back to the beginning. So, overview. Baron-Cohen et al. ICE test, aka autism test. Aims: test adults with HFA using the revised ICE test and see if similar score deficits are seen in the HFA group. Or, sorry, yeah. See if there's a negative correlation between the AQ test and the ICE test. High score, low score. Or opposite, right? Low score, high score. If females score higher than males is the last one. Then research methodology, independent measures for each group. Independent variable 1 was the group type, or the, which group you're in, group number, which HFA group, the gen pop / control group, the students group, and the IQ matched control group, IQ matched and age matched with the HFA group. Then we have our second IV, which is the test, our DV, dependent variable, and covariables for the correlation is the ICE test score and the AQ score. Sample, we have the HFA group, 15 males, mean age 29.7 years old, mean IQ 115, they're volunteer sample. Group 2, Gen Pop control group, 122 adults, mean age 46.5 years old, broad range of occupations and education levels. 3 students, 103, 50-50 gender split, mean 20.8 years old, assumed higher IQ due to education level. And the fourth one was the IQ matched control group, 14 randomly selected from the Gen Pop group, mean 28 years old, they're matched to group 1 based on IQ and age. Procedure. So they revised the test, right? So how did they revise it? There's the problems and the fixes. Initially there was only 2 possible answers per item, which meant chance was too much involved, so they increased from 25 to 36 different items and put 4 different answers per item. The mental states on each item were too simple. For example, sad versus happy. So they used only complex mental states for items, basically having to attribute a belief to the person. Some items were guessable via eye direction, for example, noticing, and so they omitted those items. They were more female versus male faces, so they made the face gender split equal. The answer versus foil were always antonyms, which was too easy, and therefore they made the 3 foils always quite similar to the answer. It was unclear if all the words were understood, and so they added a glossary. All 4 groups took the revised ICE test. Each participant alone in a quiet room select one of the 4 words matching a set of eyes, 1 answer versus 3 foils. The HFA group was also asked to determine the gender of eyes as well, and the participants asked to check glossary if they're unsure about the meaning of words. Another aspect of the revision of the test was that the target words versus foils were presented to a group of 8 judges. They picked which target word matched which set of eyes. 5 out of 8 needed to agree without more than 2 choosing the same foil. And the data for groups 2 and 3 were combined, where at least 50% needed to select the target word and no more than 25% needed to select the same foil. And if these criteria weren't met, then the item would be removed. And finally, the test was left with only 36 items. Then we go on to the results. Group 1 performed significantly worse than other groups. Females did perform better than males, but it was statistically insignificant. Group 1 scored higher on the AQ than Group 3 and Group 4. Males scored higher on the AQ than females. ICE test had no correlation with IQ. ICE test had a negative correlation with AQ score as expected, and Group 1 scored 33 out of 36 or more on the gender recognition test, which is a good thing. Then we go to conclusions. Successfully better and more sensitive than the original test. The normal adults scored below the ceiling. There was no ceiling effect. The HFA had impaired scores, but could still identify the genders. This validates the test, and the negative correlation suggests that both tests can be used to measure severity of autistic traits. Then, evaluation. Ethics. A little bit weak. Psychological harm may have been caused to the HFA group, as lack of understanding of answers and emotions may have caused distress or embarrassment, and they could have left the study with lower self-esteem. Methodology. One strength, increasing reliability, is the high level of standardization, very standardized procedure, same images, same answers / foils, glossary for every person, and this makes it so that the study can be replicated easily for review of reliability. Increases reliability, very nice. And we have a weakness, which reduces validity, lack of random allocation. Since they use a naturally occurring independent variable of autism, it means that there couldn't be any random allocation to the groups. This means that there may have been possible similarities between inside of the groups and differences across the groups, causing group performances to differ due to participant variables rather than the independent variable. This reduces the validity of results because the differences may not have been due to the independent variable. Another weakness, reducing validity, is the theory of mind. They may not have been fully measuring theory of mind, since theory of mind is not just the first stage of determining mental state, but also attributing a reason for said mental state, and the latter was, of course, not investigated in the study. Objective and subjectivity. Strength. It was very objective. They used quantitative data. Quantitative data is objective, no research or interpretation needed, no research or bias involved, and that increases the study's validity. Then we go on to generalizations. Two weaknesses. One is that it's hard to generalize beyond the sample. Very small HFA group, 15 adults, self-selected, doesn't represent most other autists. They're self-selected, meaning they were motivated to go to the study. They're all adults. It's already a small group. Makes it hard to generalize the results to other autistic people. Another weakness, hard to generalize to everyday life. The questions were static images, black and white, doesn't reflect the real life setting for emotional processing. Facial movements, nonverbal and verbal communication is important, which of course were not present. This reduces mundane realism and reduces ecological validity. Finally, issues and debates. Individual versus situational. Individual versus situational. The HFA impaired scores versus normal scores suggests that individual differences affect cognitive processes. However, it can also be argued that situational factors and type of emotion could result in the HFA in improving processing instead of impairing the scores in processing, which means that maybe situational factors have a say in it. Then application to everyday life, other clinical groups, the ICE test could be used to test those with brain damage to see like maybe if their social processing, brain part is damaged at all. Then in terms of education, it could be used by teachers to determine the student's social intelligence and give extra lessons accordingly. Very nice. Baron-Cohen et al. Thank you. Signing off.